everyone, and welcome back to Debating Metal. I am your host, Kenneth Dean, the Dean of Metal, along with my co-host, Chris K. This week, we're celebrating one of the all-time gentlemen in hard rock.
David Coverdale began his career in 1973 fronting the Mark III version of the legendary Deep Purple, which recorded 2 albums. 4 years later, in 1977, following one more album with the Mark IV version of Deep Purple, the band disbanded, and his solo career began. After releasing 2 solo albums, David formed Whitesnake and never looked back. Since 1978, Whitesnake has released 13 studio albums, 9 live albums, and 12 compilations, having sold over 18 million albums worldwide, with 12 million in the US alone.
Today, Chris and I will choose 15 songs each from their 13-album discography that we consider to be their best songs. Any tracks we duplicate will automatically make the list. Whichever songs are not, we'll debate to see which ones make the final cut. Then we'll arrange them in concert setlist order for the ultimate Whitesnake Greatest Hits. And at the end, we'll give you our big 4 David Coverdale songs from other than Whitesnake. All right, Chris, we're finally getting to this. You know, we keep saying that every week. We're finally getting to something because we always talk about things, or you and I have conversations, and we want to get to these artists. And I know a lot of people sitting there saying, oh, you guys, all you do is these old artists, these old artists, these old artists. But you know what? They're the ones with the deep catalogs.
I honestly thought we had already done this, but
no, we did.
We did a head-to-head.
Right, it was a head-to-head. Slide It In versus 1987. I'm a big fan of Whitesnake. I really, really I've enjoyed them. I've been a fan of theirs since the Slide It In album, and I kind of lost touch with them there, you know, after their fame and notoriety wore off in the late 80s. And then, you know, they started touring the United States again. That was a big thing, too, that they weren't touring the United States. So when they finally started touring the United States, then I kind of got interested in them again. And I heard that they were releasing new albums and stuff like that. So, you know, none of the new albums compare very well to, let's say, Slide It In or Whitesnake, but they do have their highlights, and we're going to talk about them. But one of the best showmen in the business, one of the best singers out there. I mean, hell, he fronted Deep Purple. He had the Coverdale Page thing that he did for a while. I mean, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that has what I would call, say, a golden voice, where he just sounds good in everything he does. At his age, he still sounds better than a lot of newer singers. Like, he just has this ability that he's never let go. And you know, for me, I got into them maybe a bit later. I wasn't into the ballads and that kind of stuff as much, but I always remember seeing Here I Go Again on like VH1 Classic, MTV, you know, stuff like that. And then I guess it was as I got older and I matured a bit more, where, you know, everything didn't have to be like thrash all the time or death metal all the time, where I started really appreciating it a bit more. So he is one of those, like, I'm disappointed that I've never gotten the chance to see. We were supposed to see him last year with Scorpions, but he ended up getting sick and had to cancel, and so we just saw Scorpions, which it was still great, but very disappointing to not be able to see him live.
That was definitely disappointing. I mean, I totally enjoy, you know, seeing him. Now, I say it that way like I've seen them so many times. I've seen them twice, and it just so happened to be 20 years apart. 20? Yeah. No. No, it was 30 years apart. Yeah. So is it 98? Yeah. It was 30 because I saw them in 1988 and then again in 2018. So it's nuts to think about. But I saw them in the heyday of the Whitesnake album, Here I Go Again, and Still a Night and all that stuff. And I clearly and vividly remember when they played Here I Go Again, because he stopped singing. He just held up the microphone and the crowd was singing the words. It was one of the most awesome things I've seen, you know.
That's not surprising, yeah.
No, it's not surprising. But like at that time, what was funny about that is that it didn't happen a lot. And I, you know, at the same time, I didn't go to a lot of shows that were that kind of pop metal, if you want to look at it that way. I hadn't seen Rat, I hadn't seen Motley Crue at that point, I hadn't seen Poison. Cinderella was just breaking; they were still an opening act, and
now I'd kill for the crowd to sing Motley Crue, and Vince just stays silent the whole time.
I wish, but it was just amazing to see 15,000 people singing in unison, and the other thing too is that the place it held 15,000. It was an old airplane hangar, so the whole thing was literally a tin can, so it reverberated really loud inside there. So 15,000 people pretty much sounded like 30,000 people. It was crazy.
It's awesome.
So, but yeah, as you mentioned David's voice earlier. I love his voice. He's got one of the most soulful hard rock voices out there. And he loves the blues, and it fits him perfectly. So,
and he still sounds good today.
Oh, he sounds absolutely amazing. All right, so for all the newbies out there, this is what we're going to do. Chris and I are going to go through our 15 songs. We're going to basically list off what we came up with. And then any of the songs that we duplicate, those automatically make the list. So then after that, so if there's 5 spots or 6 spots left where we didn't duplicate songs, then we're going to debate the songs that are left over to see which ones we want to keep and put into the ultimate greatest hits. And the way we do that is we do it by rounds. And in the first round, it is we choose a song from our own list that we want to keep. Round 2, we choose a song from our own list that we are willing to drop. And then round 3, we choose a song from the other person's list that we're willing to keep. And then round 4, we choose a song from the other person's list that we want to go ahead and drop. And we continue from there until we fill out the 15 spots. And then from there, we'll talk more about it when we get to it. All right, so let me go ahead and announce my 15 Whitesnake Greatest Hits songs. This is in no particular order, but it always winds up being in chronological. So, number 1, Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City. That's off the Snakebite EP. Number 2, Walking in the Shadow of the Blues from Love Hunter. Number 3, Fool for Your Lovin', which was originally released on Ready and Willing and later re-recorded for Slip of the Tongue. Crying in the Rain, which was originally recorded on Saints and Sinners and later released on, again, re-recorded on Whitesnake, the 1987 album. Here I Go Again, released on Saints and Sinners and re-recorded for the Whitesnake 1987 album. Slow and Easy from Slide It In at number 6. Number 7, Love Ain't No Stranger from Slide It In. Number 8, Guilty of Love from Slide It In. Number 9, Still of the Night from Whitesnake. Number 10, Give Me All Your Love from Whitesnake. And 11, Bad Boys from Whitesnake. At number 12, Slip of the Tongue from Slip of the Tongue. Number 13, Best Years from Good to Be Bad. Number 14, All Out of Luck from Forevermore. And number 15, Good to See You Again from Flesh and Blood, their latest album. All right, that's my 15. What's your 15?
All right. So I'm just going to read my list before I say how much crossover we have. In order, mine is going to be Long Way Home from Love Hunter, Mean Business from Love Hunter, Fool for Your Loving from Ready and Willing, Don't Break My Heart Again from Come and Get It, Victim of Love from Saints and Sinners, Love Ain't No Stranger from Slide It In, and Standing in the Shadow, also from Slide It In. Still of the Night, Is This Love, Here I Go Again, and Crying in the Rain from Whitesnake. I picked those versions for Here I Go Again and Crying in the Rain. Now You're Gone from Slip of the Tongue, Cheap and Easy, also from Slip of the Tongue, and Best Years from Good to Be Bad.
All right, well, let's see. So we crossed over on 6 songs, and I like your list. It's very diverse. It's a little more diverse than mine. Mine's heavy in the middle. It's kind of like, my waistline. But it's I like it. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So we got 6 crossover songs, so we have to basically place 9 songs, which is good. That's going to be a good fight. I like that. We have a lot of dropping and keeping, and I might there might be a song in there I want to keep that you decide you want to kill on me by accident or on purpose. Depends on how you're feeling. So so we'll see. All right. So let's do this. Since I went first uh, with my announcements, why don't you go ahead and pick a song off your list you want to keep?
All right, so this might be a bit basic, but I think I want to keep Slide It In.
Oh, okay.
That's a song that gets stuck in my head a lot.
It is quite catchy. Slide it in right to the top. I love that song. I was listening to it on the way home. And I was listening to it, the new Greatest Hits remix version. And they did something that I didn't necessarily like with that version, which
Okay.
is they remixed it, which is fine. The version that most Americans know is the U.S. version, obviously, that was remixed when I think it was by Keith Olsen. I don't know if he had a partner, but he remixed it for U.S. audiences, and they released that version of it. They actually brought in Neil Murray, I believe, was their old bass player to play bass. They brought in John Sykes to re-record some of the guitar parts or add to some guitar parts, add some solos. So the Slide It In album's all sorts of crazy different than the original. And one thing that I liked that they did was that they kind of compressed and kind of made it more solid, the bass drum. They made it a little bit more punchy, whereas the UK or the international version was very reverberated. It had a lot of echo, not anywhere near like Eric Carr on Creatures of the Night, but really
Yeah.
similar in some aspects. And the new release of the Greatest Hits that came out a couple years ago, or was it last year? I think it was. They brought that back, not completely. It still got some punch, but I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this one. But anyway, that was just me. I love that song. Anyway, so now it's my turn to pick a song that I want to keep from my list. Ha. This is I don't really like all the songs that I really enjoy from Whitesnake are on this list except for one or two that are from the Whitesnake album. And so I want to go out of my realm on this one a little bit. And I've been listening to this one a little more. I'm going to go ahead with the first song that was basically a hit for him, and that was Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City from the Snakebite EP.
Okay.
All right, so now it's your turn to pick a song off your list that you're willing to drop.
Let's see. I think I'm going to drop Standing in the Shadow.
Okay.
It's a good song. I like some of the others on my list a little better. And we already have 2 tracks from Slide It In, so we'll see how that goes. I know you have 2 more to choose from on yours as well.
I do. All right. From my list, I think I'm willing to drop Bad Boys off of the Whitesnake album.
Also a good song, yeah.
Yes, it's a great song. The album's awesome. That one is one of those that, we already have so many songs from that album.
Well, that album could be their own greatest hits, honestly.
Well, pretty much. Because, I mean, when you think about it, that they have 2 songs in that album that were on different or a different album before. So
Yeah.
that, at least you incorporate an older album in that sense, right?
True.
So that's pretty cool. But that one, I mean, I'm not even going to say it's one of the weaker ones. It's just that there's so many strong ones,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm thinking that there might be one song I might want to keep later on.
All right.
All right. So now you're going to pick a song from my list you want to keep. Tough one, eh?
A little bit. All right. I am going to keep Guilty of Love from Slide It In.
Ooh, you're keeping Guilty of Love. Ooh, okay. That makes it tough on me. I love that song. Again, I love that album.
It's
That
a
is
really cool riff.
okay. So as much as I love the Whitesnake album, right, and it's got great songs, for whatever reason, there's something about Slide It In that's kind of like my Deserted Island kind of album. If you're looking at my Whitesnake albums,
That's fair. I mean, I think there's an argument for both of those albums for sure. And if you want to hear that argument, listen to our episode. It goes head to head.
yeah. So that's episode 64. If you want to check that out, Whitesnake's Slide It In versus Whitesnake 1987. It's a what do they call it? Eponymous album, but it's internationally known as 1987. It's one of those weird things. So, you're going to hear us flub it all night long. All right. So now I got to pick a song off your list that I'm willing to keep.
Yeah, they have a song called Guilty of Love and they have a song called Victim of Love. Like, is that a trial?
Okay, so I'm going to pick from your list Don't Break My Heart Again.
It's a good song. I like that album actually a lot.
Their early albums were really good. I mean, if you're into traditional hard rock blues, and I say traditional hard rock blues because there's a particular style that the hard rock bluesers do that's different than your traditional bluesers. But then those hard rock bluesers have turned that into the traditional hard rock thing. Like all those people do that. And so if you like that style of rock and blues rock, that is their early albums are excellent.
I would agree, and I really like that third album. It has a very Deep Purple sound to it, and there's a reason why. There's two members of Deep Purple on the album, but it works really well, and obviously, they have that chemistry from their time with Deep Purple.
The Deep Purple connection, I mean, it kind of went deep. That's what Deep Purple did too. They began to jazz it up a little bit more towards the end. And that had a lot to do with Tommy Bolin. But even then, like, was it the Stormbringer album that had Richie on it, if I'm not mistaken?
It did, yeah.
And
Tommy Bolin was only on that one album.
Right, in the last album.
Come Taste the Band, yeah.
So, with Richie, they were getting a little more experimental, a little bit more jazz influence in there, and that came from Glenn and from David. And even though David is really blues at the heart, but it was one of those things where they just changed things up so much. I mean, I guess David brought they both did. David and Glenn brought the funk, brought the blues, more blues. You can't get any more blues, and then they brought some jazz. That's what and the experimentation. Even though Deep Purple's always been known for that kind of jam kind of stuff, those two guys just added more to it. So it was pretty crazy. And then so when Deep Purple disbanded, you're talking about two guys, John Lord and David Coverdale, who were driving factors in the songwriting. Okay, so now is it my turn? No, I picked Don't Break My Heart. No, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
It is now your turn to pick a song off of my list you want to drop.
Oof. You actually have some really good choices. But I am gonna drop Walking in the Shadow of the Blues. And part of that is me hoping that one of mine, or even possibly both of mine from Love Hunter, make the list. But I also like other songs you have listed here better. So I think that's possibly the weakest of your list.
Ouch, that one's gonna hurt. I kind of like that song on Love Hunter. That was one song that kind of stood out for me. However, it may sting a little, but I think I can get over that.
I hope so. I hope you can recover.
All right. Um, so now it's my turn to pick a song off your list that I want to drop. And I just listened to it. It's not that I'm not impressed with it. I like the album, but I'm going to go ahead and drop Victim of Love.
Okay. So we're guilty of love, but we're not a victim.
No, we're guilty. We were not the receiving end of the guiltiness. Or we were the accused. We were not the victim. All right, so now we go back to the beginning, and you get to pick a song off your list that you want to keep.
Okay. There's a few good ones, and it's always a tough choice. But I think I'm going to pick Long Way From Home from Love Hunter.
Long Way Home. All right, so not a bad choice. You want to keep what you want to keep. You picked it, you keep it. Obviously, I didn't, but that's okay because you know what? Hopefully, I could hit you in the ribs with a song you wanted to keep, and I steal it and take it away from you because you've done that to me so many times.
Wow.
All right, song I want to keep from my list. So I have left Slow and Easy, Give Me All Your Love, Slip of the Tongue, All Out of Luck, and Good to See You Again. I have a bunch of songs left, and we have 4 spots. You have Mean Business, Is This Love, Now You're Gone, and Cheap and Nasty. I had such high hopes for Slip of the Tongue. And even though I enjoy some of the songs, I feel overall it disappointed me.
Okay.
But it was, it's weird. Coming off of Whitesnake, I thought it was going to be just a fabulous album. And they still had Adrian Vandenberg in the band, but he ended up not participating as much because he was injured or sick or something like that. I can't remember. Brought in Steve Vai. Steve Vai did some amazing work on this album. And but Rudy Sarzo was in there, Tommy Aldridge. It was the same band for the most part, but the songs for some reason just didn't do it for me as much as the stuff on Whitesnake. And so it's hard for me to pick a song from that from that album. But we have to some degree because we should represent. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we don't have to. We pick
no.
the songs that we genuinely feel are the best. So, I don't know. It's
all right. Well, you twisted my arm. Now I have to do it. Give Me All Your Love. That's what I'm picking.
All right. All right. So what am I picking now? A song that I want to drop from my list.
Right.
I think I'm going to drop Cheap and Nasty from Slip of the Tongue.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting one.
It's it's funny because there's a lot of other Whitesnake songs that sound very similar. But I do like it. I think it's a fun song.
It is a fun song. I'll give you that. Like I said, that album it's like so. I like the song "Slip of the Tongue." Obviously, I picked it from my list. I actually like the song "Now You're Gone," but I kind of said, I don't. We took so many songs from Whitesnake. We took so many songs from Slide It In. I wanted to kind of spread out and pick some songs from later albums, like Forevermore and Good to Be Bad and stuff like that. But and we got one so far. All right, so
we got one
so far. All right, we got 3 spots left. I'm dropping a song off of my list. Right?
That is correct.
That is a tough one. It really, really is a tough one because, oh man. So when I chose my list, I went a different route, I went with like really no ballads, which kind of left open for interpretation. You know, the fact that there's still a couple of good ballads that they have.
Which is, it's funny because it's like kind of what Whitesnake is known for is some of their ballads.
Well, yeah, but see, for me, I don't enjoy Whitesnake for the ballads. See, so that's part of the contrast for me. But I enjoy songs like "Is This Love" and "Now You're Gone." Here I Go Again. It's not really a ballad, but it's a slower. It's not a. It's kind of like mid tempo.
It's a power ballad.
I'd call it even faster than a power ballad, but like "Is This Love"? Total
It's a more power ballad.
It's a super power ballad. So anyway, there's one song on my list I really want to keep, and it's I'm fighting because I'm like, if I keep this song, we're gonna end up having like 4 songs from this album. Not that we don't already have a bunch off of Whitesnake.
I mean, technically, 2 are from Saints and Sinners, right?
Correct. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and drop "Good to See You Again," and the reason being is because as much as that's his latest album, it's mostly generic-ish kind of Whitesnake. I mean, they're good songs, but they're not great songs, kind of thing, So, yeah. "Good to See You Again" is what I'm dropping.
All right. So I'm picking one from your list now.
Yes, you're picking one to keep from my list.
Okay.
We still got 3 spots, right?
That is correct. We got 3 slots and 6 songs. All right. I am going to keep "Slip of the Tongue" off of "Slip of the Tongue."
All right. So you're keeping that from my list.
Yes.
All right. So now it's time for me to pick a song off of your list that I want to keep. I'm going to go straight to it. I'm going to pick "Is This Love."
Okay. I think it's a good choice. And it's a good one for a concert, too.
Yeah. So everyone can put their phones on. See, I'm not a boomer. I would have said lighter.
Their lighter app on their phone.
the light.
All right. You remember there was for a while people were installing an app on their phone that had a lighter, and you like touch the screen and you had to flick it up and the light would start.
No, I don't remember that.
That was in the early 2000s.
Thank God I don't remember that.
When I guess not early 2000s, like mid 2000s, when like big screens on phones really became a thing.
Right. Yeah.
I remember that a lot in college. And then there was the one like with the beer, and it looked like your screen was a beer, and you tilt the phone, and it would like look like you're drinking. Novelty apps, I guess they would be called.
The only novelty app that I really got into was like the Star Wars sounds, like the lightsaber.
Oh, like the soundboards.
Yeah, like, well, the lightsaber one was cool because anyhow or any way that you moved your phone, you'd get that. It was so cool because you just like you can fight with your phone. But then there was like, I remember early computer stuff. There was soundboards where I had a bunch of noise on my computer that were sound. Yeah. That was Star Wars, and then they were on the phones too. You could like get all the sounds for like, when you open an app, it was with a lightsaber opening, and if you close the app, it would. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit's stupid.
It was cool back then.
It was cool back then. Then you get over it after like freaking 10 touches, and you're like, why did I download this shit? All right, so we got 1 spot left, and we've got a bunch of songs left. We got 4 songs for 1 spot, but right now we're looking at dropping a song from the other person's list.
Yes.
So I have "Slow and Easy" and "All Out of Luck." Which one are you dropping?
I hate to say it, but I'm going to drop "Slow and Easy."
Oh, that's okay. That is my favorite song on that album.
Should have picked it sooner.
No, that was one of those because we ended up just the way the balls, the bounce, the cards laid themselves out. I knew that was going to be one that was going to end up being towards the end that would end up with a chance of getting dropped. And that's only because we already had Love Ain't No Stranger. You had picked Guilty of Love earlier. You had already picked Slide It In. So I was like, oh shit, that one's going to be, that one might get left off.
It was an outlier.
Yep. Okay, so you have Mean Business and Now You're Gone. And this is the way I'm going to put it. All right. Mean Business doesn't mean much to me. So
that's fair.
So I'm going to have to drop Mean Business.
Okay. I think it's a really cool song. I didn't expect it to make the list, but I still think it's a good song.
All right, so we got one spot, 2 songs left. We have All Out of Luck from Forevermore and Now You're Gone from Slip of the Tongue.
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I like I said earlier, I do like the song Now You're Gone, but I listened to All Out of Luck, and here's the funny thing. Listening to this album, Forevermore, I actually thought that this was a better song to me than the single Love Will Set You Free.
I would actually agree with that.
And that's the reason why I picked it instead of Love Will Set You Free. Because I like Love Will Set You Free, and it's a very classic style Whitesnake song to some degree. But to me, All Out of Luck was actually more rooted in traditional Whitesnake than
the funniest. The instrumentation on that album reminds me a lot of Balance from Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was kind of weird. I remember when this album came out, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he and his wife were listening to it, basically. And I was just, something about it was like, what is this about this Whitesnake album that seems different? And then it kind of hit me. It sounded like Balance in some, capacity.
Interesting. And it's weird because it's produced by Coverdale Aldrich and a guy named Michael McIntyre. So I don't know where those roots are, but
I don't know if there's any intentional at all, but like it just happens to be similar in the way it was produced.
Alrighty then. All right. So that being said, I like both songs a lot. What's your take on the 2 songs that are remaining?
I mean, I think there's an argument for both. We have a couple ballads. We have, Crying in the Rain. We have Here I Go Again, even though you said it's not really a ballad, but it kind of is. Is This Love? So, I mean, we have some ballads, but do we have enough for a Whitesnake show? So I'm kind of open. What's your argument?
My only argument for it is to diversify the album listing.
That's fair.
And so, that's why I would keep All Out of Luck, just to get something else from the latter days. Because all we have literally is
It's Good to Be Bad, which isn't even that late in the catalog.
I know. When you think about it, I mean, because it's from it is from 2008. So it's already, 15 years old.
Yeah.
However, 15 years old, God, like the 2000s, 10s just flew by, and so many things came out and so many things happened. That's like to me, it's like a lost decade. So all we have is the stuff from Good to Be Bad. And we don't have anything from Forevermore. We don't have anything from Flesh and Blood. So that's the only reason why I was picking All Out of Luck. Now You're Gone is a good song, but we got something from Slip of the Tongue. So we actually have representation if that was the case. So
I'm willing to go with All Out of Luck.
All right. I'm willing to accept that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to put All Out of Love as the last song we're picking.
All Out of Love?
Oh, All Out of Luck, excuse me.
I was like, we're entering a new song now.
Every fucking song that Whitesnake does has got love in the fucking title, you know? So
they're guilty of love.
But at the same time, they're victims.
They're victims as well. Is this love? Give me all your love. Guilty of love.
Love ain't no
for your
stranger.
loving.
Oh God, it's just so many. All right.
Ain't no love in the heart of the city.
Jeez, that's just such a long title. All right, let's go over the 15 songs that we're going to put into concert set list order. Number 1, Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City. Number 2, Fool for Your Lovin'. Number 3, Crying in the Rain. 4, Here I Go Again. 5, Love Ain't No Stranger. 6, Still of the Night. 7, Best Years. 8, Guilty of Love. 9, Slide It In. 10, Don't Break My Heart Again. Is that the way it goes? Yeah. Don't Break My Heart Again. 11, Long Way From Home. 12, Give Me All Your Love. 13, Slip of the Tongue. 14, Is This Love? And 15, All Out of Luck. And so now we are tasked with putting them in concert set list order. So for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. And the way we do this is we are going to go back and forth and pick a song and try to put it in the order that we would like to see a Whitesnake concert. And we got 15 songs. The first 12 are going to comprise the main set, and then songs 13, 14, and 15 are going to comprise of the encore. So you went first in picking a song, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the opener. It would be so easy if we had the song Burn. So let's see. I think I kind of know what I want. I think they've gone with this before, but I don't know. Let me look at the list real quick. I'm gonna actually do it. They did this with an album. They opened it. I'm gonna go with Slide It In. First song. Boom. Slap you in the face.
Slap you in the face with Slide It In. That's just all right. Man, this is kind of a tough one to me. Like, just looking at the song choices and how to lay them out for a concert. It's probably not as hard as it's seeming in my head. Well, let's see. You know what? I'm kind of thinking Guilty of Love.
Oh wow, you're going right there.
Yeah. Continue with the songs from Slide It In.
All right. So you've got Guilty of Love at number 2. Song number 3. Let's see here. Let's go with Long Way From Home.
Okay. I think that's a good choice. All right. So how many ballads do we have? We have
Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City is a slow blues song. Mm-hmm. And you have Is This Love? And you can sit there and say, Here I Go Again, but we know where that's going.
Yeah. Holding on to that one for a little longer.
I that's a middler. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. Why don't we get that Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City out of the way?
Okay. You don't like my song?
I think it's a good point to slow things down and then maybe pick them up afterward.
Okay, so we're going to pick it up. Let's see. How about... We're not going to pick it up all the way, but how about Crying in the Rain?
Funny enough, that was the song I highlighted.
Nice.
Interesting. I think it works perfect there. Let's see. How about Here I Go? No, I'm just kidding.
And it's funny enough, that's the one I highlighted.
How about Don't Break My Heart Again?
Okay, yeah, I like that one. All right, so we're right at the midway point of the album. Excuse me, album of the concert. How about All Out of Luck?
Yeah, I'm good with it there. That one would be middle, kind of somewhere. Let me follow that up with Best Years.
All right. All right, so looking at what we have left, now they're all songs that pretty much everybody should know. So we've got 4 songs left in the main set, 3 encores. Trying to look ahead to see what would be the closer. Not that I'm picking that one. Not the closer of the main set. I'm just trying to figure out what that might be. How about Fool for Your Lovin' in this spot?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine right there. So we've got 3 more for the main set.
Yep.
Just do Slip of the Tongue.
Okay. How about putting Is This Love in this spot?
I think it has to go there. I don't think there's a choice. Because it's a ballad. You don't want to end the main set on a ballad, right?
Right.
So I think we've got 4 really good choices to end the main, or to end the main set. Basically, any of these would work. And therein lies the problem. Any of these would work.
I have an idea. So let me see let me see what direction you go with.
I'm leaning towards either Give Me All Your Love or Love Ain't No Stranger.
Okay. I agree more with Give Me All Your Love.
I think so too, and that's kind of why I said it first.
Yeah, that's a crowd song. I've heard it before. They get the crowd involved, and so that's a good way to end your main set to me.
Yeah. So what are you picking to kick off the encore? In my mind, there's only one way to do this, but
still the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're coming to an encore. You're kicking straight in, boom with the vocal.
Start your encore with with Slow and Easy.
But it's a good fucking song.
It's a good song, but it's not the way to start an encore. All right. Love Ain't No Stranger.
Absolutely. And then Here I Go Again. There's no way about it, really.
Right? I think we have a consensus. Anything that you think we should change?
I don't think so, really, because I mean, we start off real strong with well-known songs. You go into the middle of it with songs that not as well known, but you throw in "Crying in the Rain" in between 2 of the older songs, and that excuse me, that helps those two songs. And then you have the Bathroom Break, where the people
the newer stuff
who doesn't know the new stuff, and they go out and so then they've taken a break at the middle of the show and they're ready for the rest.
Oh,
I mean, that's just the way it is.
True. It's reality. Yeah.
The unfortunate part, and we've had this conversation kind of off record, but you get two camps. You've got bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden that continue to release new music, right? And they're still at the top of their game. And I don't care what anybody sits there and says, Metallica's at the top of their game. All right.
I'm sorry, Metallica sold out in 1983.
Yes, that's true. the minute they fired Mustaine. So
when they released Kill 'Em All, they sold out. They should have been a club band forever.
They sold out because they didn't release it as Metal Up Your Ass.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you got Iron Maiden. They released an album like Senjutsu, super strong. Okay, so they're 40 years into their career, and all of a sudden they're still releasing great music. Then you have bands like Motley Crue, Poison, who still continue to tour, and they're continuing to tour off of their old material. We had this argument before. Legacy bands, Guns N' Roses, same thing. Yeah, they threw out one new song. What is that? Old School, and it wasn't as strong as some of their regular material. So
They did 2 new songs.
yeah, I forgot what was the other song that they did. I think it started with A or something like that.
I don't know. It wasn't very good.
Absurd. Was it Absurd?
Oh God, yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
So it's regardless. It wasn't a new
one
album
one
anyway,
new song.
right? And then you have bands like Def Leppard who continue to release new music, but they're not breaking down barriers. They're not really hit singles for that matter. There's good songs on Senjutsu. There's good songs on 72 Seasons. There's probably decent songs on Def Leppard, but you don't hear about them. And then there's a couple of other bands. But regardless, the point being is the bathroom break joke that we're talking about here is, literally an artist will try to put out a new song, like here's a song off the new album, and half the crowd leaves.
That's true.
And that's disappointing if you're an artist to see that, because to me that
And
indicates
it's disappointing sometimes as a fan, like that continues to listen to their new music, because you see people walking away and you're like, no, this is a good song. You're missing it.
well, to me it's one of those things. If the song was strong or super strong or one of those songs that people liked, they're going to stay and watch it. They're going to stay and listen. But if the song is just a middler, they're going to go. They're going to go pee, and they're going to come back, and they're going to enjoy the rest of the strong songs. I don't know. I don't do that. I enjoy all the new music that comes out, and I try to keep up with all these bands. But sometimes it's a little much, but I endure it. I try not to go to the bathroom in the middle of a show.
Fair enough.
That's what the little leather bag on the side is for.
That's what you wear a catheter to the show.
Well, man, let me tell you, if you're in the snake pit for Metallica, where the hell are you going? I want to hope they have a bathroom around that ring, like a porta potty or something, because that's a freaking huge snake pit. First of all,
I don't know.
But anyway, all right, Chris, go ahead and read off the 15 songs for the ultimate Whitesnake Greatest Hits.
All right, we're starting off with Slide It In, followed by Guilty of Love, followed by Long Way From Home, then Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, Crying in the Rain, Don't Break My Heart Again, All Out of Luck, Best Years, Fool for Your Loving, Slip of the Tongue, Is This Love, and then we're ending off the main set with Give Me All Your Love. Then for our encore, we start with Still of the Night, followed by Love Ain't No Stranger, then Here I Go Again.
That's a cool concert right there.
I would kill to see that.
I mean, the last time I saw them, they were an opening act. They played, I believe, 10 songs. Not the best way to see them, but the fact that I got to see them, as opposed to headline. I was hoping it could headline sometime, but they're not in that status anymore. It's disappointing.
True.
But anyway. All right. Well, that brings us now to our big four, which is get this long, convoluted title. Our big four David Coverdale songs from Other Than Whitesnake.
From Other Than Whitesnake.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Other songs sung by David Coverdale that were not part of the Whitesnake unit, band, project, whatever you want to call it. So, all right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure. I can go first. That's
okay.
All right. My number 4 is going to be Coming Home from Deep Purple. Come Taste the Band. I think Tommy Bolin really brought something interesting to that band. I know Ian Gillan says this is not a real Deep Purple album. Well, he's a crotchety old man, and it is.
He's a cranky fuck, isn't he?
He really is. And it's a pretty good album. I really like David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes' time in the band. And, even though Richie Blackmore had left, when Tommy Bolin came in. There's some really good stuff on the album. I think it's a little bit overlooked. My number 3 is Pride and Joy from Coverdale Page. I really like that track, and it's probably the most Led Zeppelin sounding track on that album. It almost seems like it was written for Led Zeppelin, and David Coverdale can more than handle that. My number 2 is Stormbringer, the title track off of Stormbringer, the second Deep Purple album with that lineup. And I really like it. I always thought it had something to do with Stormbringer, which I've mentioned a few times in the past. There's a book series called Elric, which all these bands have some Elric song in there for real. Like we even talked about Diamond Head had an Elric song in there with Knight of Swords or Knight of Blades, sorry. And so or was it Knight of Swords? Now I'm confusing myself. But regardless, it's a huge inspiration on so many bands. And apparently he says it's not. David Coverdale says it's not. But I find that hard to believe. And my number 1 is Burn off of Deep Purple's Burn. It's just an awesome song. You even mentioned it, like it would be easy to start things off if we were able to use it in our concert set list. And I totally agree. It would be. I understand that Glenn Hughes occasionally does Deep Purple material when he does his solo tour, which is kind of making me want to go see the Yngwie Glenn Hughes tour that's coming here.
Oh, this Glenn Hughes tour that he's doing now with Yngwie, he's celebrating Burn.
Oh God!
So he's doing Deep Purple.
We may have to go see that.
Oh, I'm totally down for that one.
I think it'd be amazing. So, Burn is such a good song, great album, really a front to back album for me. So it definitely had to be my number 1.
We have 75% crossover.
No way.
Yes, way. And not like there's a lot to choose from when it comes to side projects or other projects that Coverdale's done. I actually went 2 and 2 between Coverdale Page and Deep Purple.
Okay.
So number 4 for me is Shake My Tree off of it was the lead, not the lead track, but the first song on the album from Coverdale Page. It set the tone for what was going to be a very Led Zeppelin-esque kind of album with Coverdale singing. I think it's a pretty cool song to start the album with, and like I said, it established a lot, and they went from there. Number 3 for me is Stormbringer, which was your number 2 from Deep Purple. I don't know how long, I did not know anything about this album. Despite all the knowledge I've had, I've heard the title, never heard the album. Not now. I mean, I've heard it now for like the last 10 years, whatever it is, something like that. But most recent, it was one of these things where I just never got into anything from Deep Purple after Richie left, except for Burn. I had heard Burn. I thought that song was amazing. Never heard the rest of the album. Never heard anything from Stormbringer. Never heard anything from Come Taste the Band. It was one of those things that just didn't, it didn't, it's not that it didn't appeal to me. I was like, well, I didn't feel like I had to. I was just thumbing my nose at it for whatever reason. Then they reunited with Perfect Strangers, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Deep Purple, that type of attitude. But I was young and stupid. What can I say? Anyhow, Stormbringer now is fucking amazing. And number 2 for me is Pride and Joy, which was your number 3. Like you said, most Led Zeppelin song in the album. It is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I really had hoped at the time when this album came out that they would continue that relationship because, again, it was one of those things where Whitesnake wasn't doing much. They were basically defunct, or they were on hiatus. And this collaboration, I was like, well, no one was going to get a Led Zeppelin reunion, so let's get the next best thing, right? Well, it lasted very short period of time, and it's unfortunate, but it would have been great if they did something else. And actually, I just read recently that Coverdale is open to doing some more collaborating with Jimmy Page. So let's keep our fingers crossed and maybe something will happen.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And number one, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And number one for me is Burn, just like yours, from Deep Purple. Just an absolute banger of a song. I mean, I love that song. The jam in the middle is great. Glenn Hughes with the background vocals, and he's probably got like his vocals, some female female vocals added into that. I'm not sure. I know that on the covers record that Whitesnake did, called the Purple Album, where they combined these two albums. I don't know if they did anything from Come Taste the Band. I don't remember. But they combined Stormbringer and Burn. I know that. I don't know if anything from Come Taste the Band's on there. Their versions are really, really cool. Updated versions. The production's a little too contemporary, too compressed. But the way they did the background vocals for that Glenn Hughes part in Burn, he definitely had some female background singers helping him along. So I don't remember if it's on the original or not. Either way,
I don't think
Burn's
so. It sounds pretty clean on the bridge on the original.
It's just Glenn, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, Burn's a badass song, so that's my number one.
And it's a good choice.
It is a good choice. All right. Well, that's our big four David Coverdale songs from other than Whitesnake, and that brings this episode to a close. Remember, you can listen to us every week on your favorite podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Pandora, and all the others. So click like or subscribe, and you won't be disappointed.
And don't forget, you can interact with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or send us an email to debatingmetal@gmail.com. YouTube viewers, click subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when we post a new episode. So remember to tune in next week when we spark up another exciting metal debate. On behalf of Kenneth and myself, stay safe and always turn it up to 11.
See ya.